Welcome to Queensland Raceway for round number 3 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. It's a little bit cloudy here this weekend, but we haven't seen any rain come down yet. We are only 45 minutes west of Brisbane here in Ipswich in the centre of motorsport here in Willowbank. Queensland Raceway though, massive upgrades have happened since the last time we competed here. We've got these great new fantastic pit facilities. Everything's happening out the back. There's go-karts here. There's so much more for everyone who wants to come down and watch. I'm Matt Kavanagh and joining me Stephen White alongside. We're coming off the back of a great round up in Darwin, which was round number 2 of the Hi-Tec Oil Series. It was the first 2 co-driver event when it came to the Hi-Tec Oils, the TO2 muscle cars as well. So that was a huge event for us. What was that like?
Oh, amazing, Matty. I mean, and welcome to you and welcome to everyone. Obviously, it's been a great, fantastic, series so far, and Darwin just eclipsed anything we could have hoped for. And 2-driver event, first one in the world. The guys loved it. All the feedback was fantastic, and now on to Queensland Raceway for round 3.
And already we've seen some tough racing across all those categories this again, but the TO2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tec steel framing, they always turn it on for us. Seen a couple of big moments out there, and there's been a few repairs happening in the pits.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I'm forever amazed how quickly they can repair the TO2 car. I mean, and this weekend we're joined by the new Australian Hyundai XL Championship, brought to you by ECB. So, there's fantastic things that are happening, and it's all about the sport, it's all about the controlled formulas, but more importantly, it's all about the action. So QR's turned it on. I mean, we were lucky enough to talk to Tony Quinn before, and look, he's obviously looking at ways of innovating technology and the way that we grow our sport, make it safer, but certainly make it a place where people can come and enjoy their racing. So I noticed the Hyundai's going out, so a bit of an action-packed race coming next.
Action-packed is a nice way to describe it when we stick 40 cars nearly on the track all at once and they've got to battle it out. Now, let's talk about this. It is the inaugural Australian XL Cup that is taking part of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. It all happens right here at Queensland Raceway this weekend.
Cam Wilson, he's won all 3 races so far this weekend. He's on pole position ahead of Tyler Collins. Jay Rothbotham out of grid position 3 ahead of Cam Bartholomew, who's been a big charger so far this weekend. Back to Jack Wood in the first of the 680 Racing XLs. Ryan Casher back to Jared Hughes, Dale Carpenter and Hugo Simpson. A couple of Victorian drivers out of 8th and 9th. And then George Wood rounding out the top 10 on the grid.
We're about to get underway with the final race of the weekend here for our EFS 4x4 Accessories Australian XL Cup Series. And of course, it's Cam Wilson on the front row. He's got the inside run over Tyler Collins. Now, Tyler Collins had to come from 3rd place at the start of last time, or 4th place from the start of last race, and managed to get 2nd. Can he go around the outside? Can he do what Jay Rothbotham did? We'll have to wait and find out. Because alongside Bartholomew, who had a DNF in race number 1, started off the back of the grid in race number 2, has worked his way up now and in 4th position. And here we go. We're underway. Green lights, and it's a start. Wait and see as Cam Wilson comes into the first corner, sets himself up. He's got himself a little bit of a lead, but they're 3 wide in the background.
Jared Hughes, big move down on the inside, heading into turn number 1. Slots into position number 7, just behind Jack Wood. And it's on the back straight where we'll start to see the slipstreaming and the drafting plenty. These cars very stiffly set up. You'll see the rear wheels of these cars lift off the ground completely in some sections of the circuit. But Tyler Collins right where he needs to be in the slipstream of Cameron Wilson as they head down to turn 3. A bit further back, they're still running 2 and 3 wide. Good start from Cameron Bartholomew. He's up into 3rd position. Like you said, Matt excluded from race number 1, had to come from the back of the field, got up to 12th in race 2, up to 4th in race 3, and now looking to finish off the weekend with the top 3 spot in race 4.
As we look down on our race leads, you can see how much they move. Bartholomew takes a big dive in on Collins. Can he get that 2nd position? Tries, he's got the inside line though as they come out of turn number 5, and he might get the job done here, but Collins is going to have the great run down into turn number 6. He just goes off the track with just a moment. Rothbotham in the background hoping to take advantage of this if anything goes wrong. Bartholomew under brakes, he's so late, still on the outside as Collins on the inside. There could be a string of cars try and drive through the inside. But it doesn't happen. Here you go, Collins now on his own in the 77 on the inside run down into turn number 1. Bartholomew on the outside, Rothbotham behind, and it goes back to Casher. Wood, Hughes, Carpenter, Faulkner and O'Sullivan round out your top 10. And we go, Tyler goes through, Robotham's going to try and follow him. Bartholomew on the outside, drops back another, and Casher takes advantage of this as well.
And look at the lead that Cam Wilson already has. So this is a carbon copy of what we saw in the previous race, where the rest of the field got so busy squabbling over second position that Cam Wilson was able to drive off into the distance, and he's leading the performance in race number 4.
It's always a risk if you want to go to the outside, isn't it? That if these cars are so close together, then there could be, you could get stuck on the outside, you get the bad run, and Bartholomew now dropping back through the pack. So that has not worked for him making that attempt. He's been super aggressive to make his way back up to the front of the pack, and unfortunately now dropping back a number of positions. So it looks like we will have Collins in P2 at the moment. We'll have a quick Hi-Tec Oils replay there, and there's a bit going on. Oh, the 87 there going off Summer. Retool.
So Jack Gould in the number 94 car at the head of that queue. At the back of that queue, one of our New South Wales competitors, Preston Bruce. His car's easily distinguishable because it's got quite a big rear wing on the back of it. Here is Hugo Simpson. He's made the trip up from Victoria, battling out with Caleb Patterson at the moment, as there's a big brake lock up there for Cameron Bartholomew, who goes down the inside and gets contact from behind from Ryan Casher. He was up the inside of Jared Hughes into turns 4 and 5, but he's copped a tap from behind. He's actually done a pretty good job there, Cameron Bartholomew, to rejoin the circuit without losing too many positions. But I think we'll have a look at the replay, but he was down the inside of Hughes. And so yes, it was the touch from Casher from behind that has caused Bartholomew to get carved off the road there.
We do have someone that is out in the litter at the moment, and they're going to have to be recovered. So we've got yellow on the track. Looks like we're going to go under safety car conditions. Well, we're back underway here in the Australian XL Series, and Robotham trying to keep those tyres warm in third position, really moving the car around there, but Cam Wilson leads us back out, and we're just over the halfway mark of this 20-lap race, Lockie, and hasn't it been action-packed really, apart from a couple of cars coming off the circuit. We've seen some bump and grind, and it's back on at the front here again. Tyler Collins is going to have another go.
But he's got to run down the inside of Cam Wilson, so he actually has some overlap on Wilson this time as they head down into turn number 3. So the safety car has reinvigorated this battle for the race lead, and it's invited some other cars to become part of it, because Jared Hughes is now making it a 4-way fight at the front of the field. So the safety car re-energising this race, which didn't really need any more energy to be injected into it, to be fair, but it is now Tyler Collins who goes through to take the lead of the race. But the battle for the lead still on in earnest. Just over 7 laps remaining in this race. Cam Wilson, he's been at the front of the field all weekend, and he wants the lead back down the inside of Tyler Collins into turn number 6. Gets the overlap, gets up the inside. Can he get the car stopped? Indeed he can. Turns it in nicely, hits the apex, and gets the number 25 car back to the front.
You can almost feel the intensity of his concentration when we zoomed in there and had him looking through out the front window as Cam Wilson just waits his moment, and then he finds it, gets the lead back of this race. You can see it, George Wood might have got there over Bartholomew in the background too, and now Faulkner and Carpenter are going to be fighting it out here as they cross the start-finish line there, and look, Bartholomew trying to make his way back into this fight. He's going to push on there with Carpenter. Can they get the bump draft through? They get past Faulkner. So these cars are still exchanging positions at the moment, and Faulkner down on the inside now on the 26 car over Bartholomew. This could play into Carpenter's hands here and give him just a little bit of a reprieve for a second there. They go side by side. Cam Wilson now back to our lead, and Robotham down the inside of Tyler and Cam Wilson. Can he get 2 cars for the price of 1? We'll have to wait and find out as they go around turn number 3. Cam Wilson's going to have the advantage, the inside line going into turn 4, and the experience shows through his driving where the braking marks are. What's he going to do into 4? Because Robotham has he's just been waiting, he's biding his time, and he's taken the perfect opportunity. But Cam Wilson now back in the lead with that inside run.
Ahead of Tyler Collins, so Jay Robotham has to slot back into 3rd, and almost looked there like it was going to be a brilliant move from Jay Robotham. Like you, I thought that he was going to grab 2 positions in the one corner, but ended up on the wrong side of the road for the next corner as Collins goes up the inside into turn 6. We've got just over a lap to go, so we're very much at the business end of the motor race now, and these drivers, they've been playing with each other for the first 19 laps. We get into the 20th and final lap, and they decide that it is business time. Elbow elbows out. They're fighting for victory in the final race of the weekend. 3 wide into turn 1. Do they all make it out the other side? Only just. Somehow they managed to sort themselves out, and joining the party, Jared Hughes on the outside. Ryan Cash is involved in the contest as well. Jack Wood in this battle too. Unbelievable conclusion to the opening round of the Australian XL Series here at Queensland Raceway.
Jared Hughes was just looking for any bit of free real estate to put that car, and Cam Wilson still fighting back over Tyler Collins. Don't think it's over yet. And look at it bouncing as he comes in on the brakes for Tyler Collins, and Cam Wilson applying all the pressure. Jack Wood, the big winner out of that, up into 3rd position now, and Casher trying to follow him through. As they head down into turn number 4, we'll have a look at this one. Cam Wilson later on the brakes. Tyler Collins, he had the inside run there, but now Cam Wilson gets the XL out in front. It's bouncing around in the background there for Tyler Collins. I don't know whether he's picked something up on the wheels, but we'll have a look as they come out of turn number 5. Jack Wood now in 3rd position, might find himself on a podium here. Robotham's dropped back, Cash around the outside. Hughes looking for an opportunity to go by at any moment. It's the final lap here of the final race for the Australian Hyundai XL Series, sponsored by EFS 4x4 Accessories. In the final corner, turn number 6, they come out. Lockie, this one's going to be close.
He has been attacked from pillar to post by the young guns all weekend long, but experience comes to the fore, and it's Cam Wilson who completes a clean sweep in round 1 of the Australian XL Series at Queensland Raceway. 4 wins from 4 races, maximum points to kick off his 2023 title campaign, and the margin between the top 3 finishes at the line just 0.42 of a second. And look at the camaraderie between these drivers on the cool-down lap. They're all pulling up alongside one another, giving each other the thumbs up. Fantastic sportsmanship between all of our competitors, but it's Wilson, your winner, ahead of Tyler Collins. Jack Wood in 3rd spot, back to Jay Robotham. Ryan Casher in for 5th position, back to Jared Hughes. Cameron Bartholomew in 7th. Dale Carps at 8th. Jackson Faulkner in 9th, and George Wood rounding out the top 10 in terms of the round results. Cam Wilson, it's a clean sweep, 400 out of a possible 400 points for him. Tyler Collins finishes 2nd overall for the weekend on 346 points. Jay Robotham rounding out our podium for the weekend with the score of 330 points across the weekend's 4 races.
Plenty more action coming your way here for the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series round number 3. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Queensland Raceway. We're here for round 3 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. We've just seen the final race of the inaugural Australian Hyundai XL Series, and what a race it was, Lockie. It was absolutely fantastic. It went right down to the wire. Could have been any one of 6 cars.
The time now, though, for one of the fastest growing categories in Queensland. Great to have them on the program here at the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series round this weekend. It's the Replica Tourers. It's a category where we've got a big assortment of different types of cars, all different engine capacities. And we saw a great win for Steve Hay in the VK Commodore. It's got a wicked body kit on it. It's got a livery that bears more than a passing resemblance to the car that won Bathurst in 1984 in the hands of Peter Brock and Larry Perkins, affectionately described as the last of the big bangers. Jeff Russell lining up out of grid position number 2 in his Mustang, back to Stuart Walker. Leonard Myers, Hunter Ferguson, Shane Tuxworth back to Alan Hughes, Dylan Pereira in his BMW E36, John Robinson, Michael Grimes in the 1974 Camaro rounding out the top 10. Then it's Sam Allen back to Ashton Geeley, Harry Everett, followed by Taylor Herford, Graham Woodward in the Mustang back to Andrea Burgess, Roger Pfeiffer, Chris Solomon, Adam King, and Rex Scholes in his VA Commodore. Billy Scholes next out of 21st, and then it's Colin Fabry followed by Caleb Webb, Duke Hoffman, Ian Woodward. He'll be one to watch out of 25th position in his very fast Camaro. Tony Rowe, Darryl Meehan, Nathaniel Rowe, who spun off the circuit in the previous race, William Robinson in his Nissan Bluebird.
George Russell, you never know in that first corner. We'll have to wait and find out as they come around turn number 6. Great shots here, as you can see them lined up. Rolling start, of course, for our Replica Tourers. They're not going to stop on the start grid. They're going to roll through, and once the lights go green, we are underway and racing. But Ian Woodward down the back in 25th position. Watch out for him. Last time round, his car stopped, and that's why he is so far down the back, because he has been in the top 3 in every race so far this weekend. Here we go. We are going green, and as we head into the first corner, no surprise, Steve Hay mashes the throttle down, and look at the power as the VK goes into turn number 1. But watch around the outside, because Walker's coming.
Good start as well, and a little bit of a sideways moment there for Michael Grimes in the 74 Camaro. A bit further back, he had the left wheels right out over the exit ripple strip through turn number 1. It's Steve Hay in the VK Commodore who laid them down the back straight. Stuart Walker has actually lost a couple of spots there. The big mover here on lap number 1 has been Len Myers there in the number 111 car. He's moving up into 3rd position and getting involved in a battle with Stuart Walker for position down at turn number 3. A bit further back, Alan Hughes there in the Tirana battling it out with Dylan Pereira. That BMW E36 has been very quick all weekend, and Pereira currently the highest placed of the drivers in the up to 3.5 laser class.
Did you see Ian Woodward in the background in the Gold Bar? Oh, we got big tyre smoke in the back. Huge brake lock up there as a
Tuxworth.
Yeah, that's going to hurt him now out wide, losing a number of positions. Ian Woodward caught up a bit in the back there too. You see him slow down. He's been laying some big black tyre marks there. But look at this one as they come down. It is Myers. Big charge forward in the Commodore, but on the inside now, Stuart Walker in the 37 car gets that position back.
Great battle between the VE Commodores. They're both running in the up to 6.2 laser class. The car that's running in second position, Jeff Russell, very experienced production car racer, actually in the 5 laser class, so slightly smaller engine capacity in that Mustang compared to the Holdens that he's battling with. But as you mentioned, Matty, he does have the advantage of ABS brakes, so lots of confidence in the big braking zones here at Queensland Raceway that absolutely mash the brake pedal to the floor. And watch out for Ian Woodward in that Camaro. We know that that car is very quick. He won one of the races earlier in the weekend. We saw the car stopping on the track with a mechanical problem in the previous race, but he's charging his way up through the field. He's already up to just outside the top 10.
Yeah, he's pushing on that car. Is sideways at every corner. Bit of tyre smoke in the background, and turns around and a lock up from Hay. Big lock up there, and you had to see Russell take a bit of evasive action there. Didn't want to make contact. You know that Mustang can brake a lot later there. There's still that smoke coming out, and the more I look at it when he was going slow before, it could be coming out that side exhaust of his. So he might have some engine problems there, although he's pushing on with this race.
He's Ian Woodward on screen, ahead of Dylan Pereira, who's currently engaged in a battle with Alan Hughes in the number 12 Tirana.
So that means Ian Woodward has now moved up into 6th position. That will recorrect itself as they go over the start line there. And that is a big move for Woodward. Already up there, only 15 seconds behind our leaders, and chasing them down with a whole heap of fury, using his anger to get it out there on the racetrack and make these positions up after that mechanical issues. But here we go, the number 11 car, as you can see on our screen, Michael Grimes. Oh no, he's off again.
Oh no, and he's going to spin in front of the pack at turn number 2 in a big cloud of dust and smoke. That's going to be a pretty anxious moment for drivers approaching turn number 2, because there'll be a big cloud of dust and they won't be able to see what's on the other side. And gee, he's got all sorts of problems there. Shane Tuxworth.
He's straightened the front tyre. That front left is completely gone. That is down to a rim. He's going to pull to the inside here where it's safe to do so. And Tuxworth, unfortunately, is going to be out of this race. That was very dangerous. I was going to say, you know, when in doubt, power out. But luckily, he got away with that one.
Unfortunately, we've got the number 17 at Toyota 86 of Ashton Geely stopped on the side of the racetrack as well. That's a shame for Ashton, because he's been running pretty competitively all weekend. Now leader's gone. Jeff Russell rotates on the exit of turn number 3. Absolute pandemonium in the closing stages of this Replica Tourers race. There has been incidents and drama that.
Plenty going on. It's not over until you cross the finish line under checkered flag as a Lockie, because plenty of action still to come your way. Russell now, who is leading this. We'll check out the Hi-Tec Oils replay, and this one's a little bit earlier there with the number 11, Michael Grimes, going around, but in front it was Tuxworth, who went off in the Commodore. Going in, a lot of gravel there, gets on the power there. Fortunately managed to get out of the way, and then later on George Russell spins himself out on this corner turn. Looks like it's there at turn number 3, but yeah, turns that car around. That's very unfortunate for him, and hopefully he can get back into this race. He hasn't lost too many positions at the moment. We can still see him in front of Ferguson. Myers has got past him, so only a number of positions, and is that the safety car has been released out onto the track, so that's probably going to bring him back into the mix here. Hay must have made a mistake early, because we saw how dominant he was with the speed out in front, and then all of a sudden we saw a Russell in front of him as well as Walker.
The unfortunate news, though, Matty, is that this race, we've just had word from race control, will finish under safety car conditions, and that means that it is going to be Stuart Walker who will pick up the race victory in this one, but Steve Hay in second position will win the round overall with 68 points against his name for the weekend.
Yeah, no, unfortunately to end that under safety car conditions, but with the car on the side of the circuit, we need to err on the side of caution there, and we are time certain here this weekend, because we are bringing you the coverage. We are bringing this fantastic coverage here at Queensland Raceway. It's round number 3 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. For our next round, we head to Morgan Park. We go west a little bit more inland, and we can't wait to get there, because it's going to be super exciting. Just outside of Warwick, a much more technical track, I suppose. Many more corners to get around there, but they've got a new surface there recently, and we can't wait to head there. In the meantime, let's check out our results. The official ones have come in. Stuart Walker takes the win in this final race for the Replica Tourers here this weekend. Steve Hay ends up in second, Leonard Myers in third, then it goes back to Jeff Russell, Hunter Ferguson, Ian Woodward with a hard charge into 6th position, then to Alan Hughes, John Robertson, Dylan Pereira and Michael Grimes will round out your top 10. There's Rex Scholes in 11, Samuel Allen, Graham Howard, Adrian Burgess, Harry Everett, Roger Pfeiffer, Chris Solomon, Taylor Herford, Jason Habji in the Tirana, and then Billy Scholes in 20th position.
Well, the TA2 community mourned the loss of one of our really great family members, the wonderful Jeff Leeds, who was an amazing race car driver in his own right, with a career that spanned some 35 years and 23 Bathurst starts. Yesterday, the TA2 family joined, along with Jeff's family, his lovely wife Sandra, his proud son Ben and his partner Megan, all joined with the teams yesterday to just pay tribute to a remarkable person that was part of a really magical era in touring car racing. Many people say the best ever era, the Moffat, Brock, Johnson, Jane, Grice, Gagan and Goss era. Jeff had so many different strings to his bow. He was a driver standards observer with us with the series for a number of years, but he was known for being a mentor, a man that really wanted to be transparent in his rulings as driver, as standards officer. He always liked just instilling in young people the ideal of racing hard, racing fair, and respecting your fellow racer. We are so honoured to have had Jeff as part of our TA2 family. He passed away after a 3-month battle with brain cancer, and we offer our love and our thoughts to all of Jeff's family and his wider family in the motor racing community. We miss you, Leedsy. What an absolutely wonderful man. And of course, there's an award this weekend put up by Queensland Raceway, judged by his family, by his lovely wife Sandra and also his son Ben and Ben's partner Megan, as to which driver this weekend really typifies Jeff Leeds' mantra in life about being respectful, being courteous, racing with vigour, but racing fairly. And it'll be very interesting to see who ends up with that. Oh, would you look at that moisture, Matty Cav? It is starting to, you know what, down.
It is falling from the sky, and that view we had earlier from overhead, you could see the dry silhouettes where the cars had been sitting in pit lane. So now that the rain comes down, have they put the wet tyres on? How much rain is going to hit the track? And who are our wet weather drivers that are going to get the advantage out of this one? We'll have to wait and find out. We can see how wet it is out there now. I think if you choose to start out there on slicks, it's going to be like driving on ice.
Yes, like a Doberman on roller skates, I'm pretty sure. But Matt McKeldin, sweet-looking Stellatech sponsorship down the side, along with Smith & Co., Lanham's Motor Group and Kubota Tractors. Hello to his lovely wife Helen and the girls who are here this weekend. Matt actually got pinged some spots for his little situation earlier on with Mick Rowell. So Matt got bumped back 3 spots. There was also Mark Crutch's incident earlier on with Chris Pappas was deemed a racing incident by our driver standards officer, Elliot Barber, the glamour boy of TA2. Well, he's really the Brad Pitt of TA2. I think it's safe to say that. If we had any lady racers in this category, I reckon they'd all be trying to crash people out just so Elliot could sit down and gaze at them in his eyes. There is the Rao Logistics, Pacific Petroleum. Number 15 of Mick Rao. That's actually Matt's wife standing off to the left, just the form, Helen McKeldin. As we take a look down over the top of the Paul Hadley IES car. Gorgeous hot rod, a pair of them. What a commitment, Matt, from that team.
Yeah, great to have them back out here, especially after Darwin, where Paul had a bit of work to do. They rolled that car in round number 1 to Winton, so rebuilt all the travel up to Hidden Valley there in Northern Territory, and now back down here in Queensland to get back into way racing. But these are the cars that have chosen to stay out there. And having a look at this one, because Nash Morris has come in, who's been dominant this weekend, has won every race, top qualified, and Josh Haynes has been the one to try and take it to him, staying out there on the slick tyres, and Dylan Thomas alongside, who's very clinical in the way he races. And it looks like we are underway, and it is green. This is going to be very slippery going into turn number 1. Nash Morris waiting in the background. He's got to wait for that final car to come over past the start-finish line.
So the interesting part is, Matty Cab, we've got 20 laps in which to do this. So the Flash emerges from pit lane, so too does Matt McKeldin. As you pointed out, these guys, well, it's going to be a bit more like sprint car style for the first few laps. Danny Reedy is actually here in the pits today, the former Alice Springs sprint car racer who now, for many, many years, has lived in Queensland. Now a father of 2. His lovely wife Chelsea is here. And Danny is going to be joining the series. Has actually bought a car. And in the next couple of months ahead, Danny Reedy will be driving TA2. We take a look at the IES boys getting after it. Now, did Cheney go there as well? I can't see whether that is. No, that's still Paul. So I wonder whether Graham Cheney has actually stayed on the slicks.
Yeah, maybe. We saw Josh Haynes in turn 3. Very, very slippery. Went wide. Dylan Thomas came down the inside, and in the background you can see Nash Morris lurking. Now he is out on wet tyres. He's going to have a huge advantage over the rest of the pack. He's already rounded up Bernie Walsh and got that position back. Josh Haynes, though, leading us at the moment, but out on slick tyres in these wet conditions, and he's wide again, and you don't want to get in the gravel because you could get stuck. Hugh McAllister in 3rd position. He'd be hoping that it dries up a little bit, and wouldn't this be a great advantage there for Michael Coulter after what we saw them do in Darwin, get a number of positions with that driver change there in the endurance race. If this dried out now, this could be a huge advantage for him.
I've already seen the super cheap flash red Mustang, though, starting to figure. Here it comes already on the wets. It's going to be a little bit like the Gazelle that goes down to the water hole, and you just know there's a predator in the water. We take a look at Paul Hadley on track. Hello to Gary Coleman, OAM, the wonderful, amazing chaplain from Motorsport Ministry. It's wonderful to see that you're watching our coverage, Gary. We really missed you during the week, I know, when we farewelled an amazing man in James Camilleri in Sydney. Always good to catch up with you. Haynes ahead of Dylan Thomas, and they are crawling about the speed you and I would be doing. In fact, they're probably going quicker. Who am I kidding?
Probably going a little bit quicker. You can see the difference in the braking, can't you, between our last race and this one, where they're getting on the brakes a lot earlier, not wanting to carry that speed, but I can't see how thick the rain is out there at the moment. I can't see it falling from the sky. And do we have more coming, or will this dry out, and will the... I suppose the risk and the temptation to stay on the slicks, will it pay off? Because we can see dry patches starting to appear out in the racetrack. Could this go in Josh Haynes' favour at the end of the race compared to what we see Nash Morris?
Did you just say, do we have more rain coming? Have you been to Queensland before, Matty? Because one thing we do know is that we don't know. One thing we do know, though, is that Super Cheap Autos Nash Morris car creeping through now into 3rd on the wets. It still looks wet enough in places where it's going to be consistently a problem for the guys on slicks. Let's go down to Stephen Merry Poppins White.
Yeah, there's no umbrella yet. Look, it stopped raining down here and the wind's picked up. So keep an eye on the track, because I think certainly Josh Haynes, Dylan Thomas and others will certainly be the people that are going to be a little bit advantaged by this. Some of the guys on the wets may not last through the race if the racing line becomes dry. So certainly no rain down here at the minute. So let's see how we go.
You know, thank you very much indeed, Stephen White. You would think out of all the cars on the racetrack, the one sponsored by Beaches Sea-Doo would be the best in the wet, Matty Cav. The interesting thing, if you're new to circuit racing or motor racing in general, and we're talking about slicks and we're talking about wet weather tyres. Now, right now, the car in the red is on the wet weather tyres, which is great when you're in the wet weather. However, if it does dry out, those tyres will get awfully hot very quickly and they will lose a lot of their stickiness. So it's a bit of a game of poker right now, Matty Cav.
Yeah, it's a gamble when you go out there, and Ash Morris choosing to go on the wet. He's already made all those positions back up and now leading our race. We are only in the third lap of 20, of course, an extended race here to finish off this weekend, the 2 days of Thunder. It's all part of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series round number 3, and great to have the TO2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tec back here at Queensland Raceway. The windscreen wiper's still on, though, for the Keenan car. So
he's done such a good job, Matt. He's in the Racetech Race Seats Rookie of the Year contention and is doing an exceptionally good job. He and Hayden Hume. Now, I didn't see Hayden Hume on the raceway. They had to change the gearbox, so he's out there ahead of Rob Leonard. So the teenager was absolutely rocking in race 2, and in race 3 it was quick too, but they had gearbox issues. I saw his dad on hands and knees while the team sorted through trying to make something of it all. Championship-wise, he is right in the thick of it. Dylan Thomas currently leads with 5:58. Jackson Rice is second with 5:49. Josh Haynes is third with 525. Graham Cheney is in fourth. Nicholas Bates in fifth with 439. Hayden Jackson is sixth with 423. Michael Coulter 393. And Hugh McAllister 381. Matt McKeldin 376. And Rob Leonard with half of the Johnson family working on that car. Stevie J and Jet Johnson working on that car, along with the crew chief and COO, his lovely wife Jill.
And in race number 3, he did make a lot of positions too. So they are getting on top of the setup of that car for Rob Leonard. And Jackson Rice trying to make some positions in the background. They Hayden Jackson is following through. Graham Cheney as they get through, and you've got to watch out. Bernie Walsh didn't come and grab any wet tyres either. He stayed out there on slicks all the way. And Hayden Jackson's going to take a big dive down the inside here. Looks turn number 6.
Hey, well done.
He's pulled the car up, hasn't he?
He made that stick. I didn't think he was going to do that. Look out, Rowley. Getting a little growly on Dick Johnson straight away. Now, they're at that intermediate point now, I think, Matt, where you light him up, suddenly the car twitches, he gets a bit of grip, but then loses grip. Pappas in the 8 car, sweeping through is the 7 car. And wow, Jackson Rice looking really solid.
We've got some penalties coming through pit lane as well now. Some penalties coming over the race radio for speeding in pit lane as they've come through to change over those wet weather tyres. So that's going to be some provisional results, I think, at the end of this.
The booming voice of AVE main man Greg Sita in our ears as Cheney is gone. The IES car on the main straightaway. Right in front of the team, there is Walsh, there is Paul Hadley. The team boss. Let's have a look at what happened here. Oh, Rowley got loose. And I think Cheney might have checked up to try and miss him. Fortunately, he didn't get the concrete wall. We're halfway there. Keem on the outside. And Jackson Rice. Oh, here we go. Uh-oh. That's Rowley.
Yeah, Rowley so spun it out. It is very slippery on the exit of turn number 6. You don't know, maybe there might be just where there's a bit of build-up of oil or something over the years, and when it gets a bit of water, it becomes very, very slippery. So we'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. Jackson Rice doing fantastic. He makes his way all the way up into 5th position now. Remembering he works down at Calder Park. That's where they work on the car. He works on several of the other TA2 cars down there as well. So he's gets a little bit of practice down there in conditions like this, especially in Melbourne. You never know if it's going to rain, and it's very cold down there this time of the year. So this might be favourable for him. We'll have a look at the replay here of Michael Rowell in the background. Check this out. Just gets himself loose and slides off onto the grass. And in this wet weather, there's no stopping that car from turning around.
It's kind of a bit of a deja vu situation for Rowley, because he got to wriggle up a couple laps earlier when Graham Cheney was in behind. So maybe they get a little bit distracted by the car in front. They make a sudden movement just to correct. Here's a good little battle. You got Keem, Coulter, Hayden Jackson. The Maitland missile fires up the inside on the Cabelco Camaro. Oh, they're right there with Keem. Wow! 2 for the price of 1. Nice drive, Hayden Jackson.
Keem again gets a little bit loose, goes wide. You don't want to drop a wheel off, do you? Oh, those slick tyres are not helping them with the drive out of the corners. Coulter gets it over Keem, though. He could get the drive. Nick Bates takes advantage as well, goes down the inside, turning into number 1. We'll have to wait and see whether Keem can fight back in that position. He's dropped all the way back now to 9th. Matty McKeldin in 10th. Michael Coulter with a nice little move there as he follows Hayden Jackson. I feel like the track is starting to dry out in areas because you can see it's getting a little bit quicker, a little bit more confidence is through parts of the track as Nash Morris, still our clear leader in the super cheap Mustang at the moment, took the risk, the gamble to go onto wet tyres at the start of this race and start out of pit lane, but look, that's really paid off for him, 30 seconds. So even as this starts to dry out there, we're going to have enough laps for that. We're on lap number 12 already, and Chris Pappas now in front of Nash Morris, and Morris should round him up down the straight here and get him under brakes. A bit of a wiggle though.
You've got to remember those tyres will be getting a little bit warm as well. They're really good in the wet line, but if you get into any of that drier part of the racetrack, they're going to really heat up. Hugh McAllister just there in the McAllister Motors Mustang ahead of Jackson Rice. Jackson moving up to position 5 now. As they come back to the main straightaway, we look to lock in lap 13 of 20 very soon. That's the way you keep an eye on all the information. Oh, he's really closing in now. Jackson Rice in behind young New South Wales' Hugh McAllister. We'll be back on the other side of this. Stick around, folks, from the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series from Queensland Raceway. Welcome back to Queensland Raceway. Lap 16 of 20. There is Josh Haynes. He is ahead on the raceway by some margin over Bernie Walsh.
Yeah, we're going around the lap, Bernie Walsh at this point. Haynes doing a nice job just trying to keep that car onto the bitumen there. Doesn't want to push it too hard. I mean, he's in the championship fight with Dylan Thomas and Jackson Rice. So
yeah, the two guys he's leading are leading him in the championship match. So it's starting to be swings and roundabouts, as the great Grant Denyer would say. There is the Maitland Glass, number 81. Boy, he's really impressed people today. Hayden Jackson is taking a liking to this racetrack. He's currently in 6th place. We take a look at that 81 car motoring on, perhaps towards our Hyperco Hard Charger Award for the weekend.
Yeah, Michael Coulter still holding off Nick Bates in the background and Matty McKeldin as well, but you can see right behind him Nash Morris almost coming around to get them a lap down. So he's just finished, 4 laps remaining now for Nash Morris. Could it be a clean sweep of this round of racing for the TA2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tec, still framing its round number 3. And there it is, the super cheap Mustang.
We're, of course, planning some big events across the Dutch in 2024 with plans to expand our competition, some Trans-Tasman battles in New Zealand. We're going to head down to pit lane.
Thanks, mate. I have George Gambino from Hi-Tec Oils here with me. George is obviously entertainment, looking at all the entertainment, but being at Queensland Raceway, how awesome is this place?
Yeah, this is unreal. It's obviously our tower here that we have, and Tony's done a great job here, so we love coming here, and the TTA, 2 guys are smashing it.
You're obviously looking at the entertainment because obviously it's raining and now it's wet and the race is quite close. It's fantastic, these TA2 cars.
It's good to throw a few things and these drivers test them out.
Fantastic, and looking forward to the next round at Morgan Park.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's not clashing with anything, so I'm okay. It's all good. Thank you.
Good on you. Thanks, George. And back to you guys.
Oh, he's had a busy weekend. He's got his Hi-Tec Drift All-Star Series happening down at Winton this weekend as well. They're out on track and they've also got wet conditions. So very busy man. George Gambino from Hi-Tec Oils. He loves his motorsport. And
oh, look at this, Bates. That's what he's doing. He's watching the drift highlights. The Hi-Tec Bambino, George Gambino. He absolutely loves his drift racing and his motorsport. Bates, they've gotten away from McKeldin a bit now. So the Cabelco Camaro of Michael Coulter and the very clean Mustang of Nicholas Bates back to the 99 car. We're just watching, why has he dropped away like that? He was looking so very good in that Kubota car. Morris coming up at him. The hard part is, Matt, we've got half the track that's wet and half that's dry. It's almost like we've got a rain curtain down the middle, and parts of the track are really dry and others still offering enough purchase for those wets.
You can see Nash Morris, he makes his way past Matty McKeldin there. He's
actually exploring the track, I think, trying to cool those tyres down, looking for a little bit of moisture just to take the temp out of them. Smart racer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Such a young age, but already with so much race wisdom.
And look, he'd have his dad in his ear for sure. You know, Paul would be saying, take it easy. We don't need to be doing too much here. Just get the job done. Now he's closing in. So fastest car on the raceway with a 1:21.87. Now, bearing in mind, too, is, of course, Josh Haynes. Bearing in mind, Matt, qualifying times around the 1:11s for Nash Morris. We are 10 seconds a lap off that at the moment, but extremely wet and greasy conditions early forced everyone to roll the dice. What were they going to do? Were they going to stick with the dries, with the slicks, or change to the wets? It was a gamble that Nash Morris took, and it seemed to pay off. Here he is, coming into the last 2 laps of this race.
Well, it's only now that Josh Haynes has laid that lap down. So previously to that, Nash Morris did have the fast lap. So it just tells us that the track is drying out. Their conditions are changing. Michael Coulter holding off Nick Bates now. This is for position number 7 out on track. Nash Morris coming around to lap traffic.
It looks very wet in that corner, Matt, particularly on the outside of the track just then. And I wonder how much does Nash Morris want to get involved in this battle? I guess we've just found out. He just went around Bates and he's coming after Coulter. So the Super Cheap Autos entry steaming to a demolition job of the weekend in that Super Cheap car. Wow, look at the gap that Coulter was able to get over Bates when they came up on the lap car just then. Lap 19, about to be lap 20 of 20.
Well, here we go. He's coming around. We're going to start the final lap of this race. 20 laps it has been for race number 4 here at Queensland Raceway for round 3 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. And Nash Morris with a commanding lead. Can he get it done? He's only got about 3 kilometres left to go. 5 more corners to get around in the Super Cheap Mustang. We'll wait and find out. Jackson Rice still chasing down Hugh McAllister. That's been another fantastic battle where McAllister hasn't let him get any closer throughout these final 5 laps we've had.
I think in a scheme like this, in the overall TA2 Muscle Car Series, this would be Hugh McAllister's best result. It'll be a career best. He's had better results in domestic competition, but not on a stage like this. When you said there's only 5 corners to go and we're still 3/4 of a lap left to go, it gives you an idea of how few corners there are at this place.
Yeah, still a long track. It's almost like having 4 drag strips and 6 corners thrown in, but very difficult under brakes. You can see it gets a little bit rough going to turn number 3, but they've already got past that point, and here's Nash Morris. He doesn't need to try and make this move on Coulter at all, and I don't think he'll have to even try, think about it. He can just bring the number 67 Super Cheap Mustang home and get the win. It'll be a fantastic result for him and the family who are here this weekend. And Paul Morris running around the pits. He'll be lively on the headset for sure. In the final corner, this is all he's got to stick it to the bitumen, and he does. Nash Morris heading towards a checkered flag.
Didn't get flashy either, you notice that? He could have stuck the tail out and put a bit of a whip in, but he didn't. Nash Morris will get the win. Will go a long way back to the Beaches Sea-Doo entry right here of Josh Haynes, who's looking to put a move on the outside of Hayden Hume. Well, let's go. Oh, lock up from Hume. Josh turns it back hard across the corner and will do a nice job in second. This will really spice up the championship, although Dylan Thomas should hold on for 3rd, and he currently leads the series. You go back to Jackson Rice, who's in 5th, but is actually 2nd in the championship, and there's not many points between the top 5. So, Matty Cav, this is going to be an interesting point situation when we get to our next round at Morgan Park in early July.
Well, we're only 50% of the way through the championship after this round, so there's still plenty more racing to happen, but a good position to be in, and there's obviously 3 names there now starting to stamp, their little bit of authority on the championship, and they're the ones that we're going to have to watch. But don't discount Nicholas Bates later in the season. It's been a bad round for him. It can happen to any racer. As the checkered flag is out here for our 4th and final race for the TA2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tec.
Bates got back to position 8, just behind Michael Coulter and also Hayden Jackson. Boy, he was stout. He finished up 6th place at the end of all that. So from a guy that had completely missed qualifying because of a clutch issue, He stormed from 20th to 12th, and then in the end, ended up with a fantastic 6th place. Morris, your winner, from Josh Haynes, from Dylan Thomas. Hugh McAllister, PB for him. Jackson Rice is 5th. Hayden Jackson, I would think PB for him. Michael Coulter, 7th. Nicholas Bates, 8th. Matthew McKeldin, good job, top 9. And Greg Keane from Gunnedah, top 10.
Then we go to Chris Pappas in 11th position. Hayden Hume held on for 12th. Mark Crutcher resumes there at 13th. Graham Cheney, although that spin out in 14th in the end. Bernie Walsh gets through for 15th. Then goes back to Rob Leonard, Michael Rowell after a big spin. Then Paul Hadley and Russell Wright. Not quite sure what happened to him. It was late to come in and get those wets on, but unfortunately that might have cost him.
Boy, this guy, they call him Flash. And that drive was certainly that. There's a very proud pop down there, very pleased with the whole way that worked out. I know that Stephen White will be down there with him very soon. We'll be doing our presentations to 1st, 2nd and 3rd. There is Dylan Thomas. He comes up behind Josh Haynes and says, nice job, well done. Haynes certainly put that Beaches Sea-Doo entry. I love the way drivers relive their drives after every race. So the round points, we'll see Nash Morris pick up the round win by 16 points over Josh Haynes. Dylan Thomas will be back in 3rd. Jackson Rice is 4th for the round. Hugh McAllister ends up 5th. Rusty Wright still 6th. 119 TA2 races for him so far. Hayden Jackson will get 7th for the point. Graham Cheney, after that spin, will pick up 8th. Matt McKeldin will get 9th. And Gunnedah's Greg Keane, Gunnedah Greg, will get 10th in the round. That is a career best for him. Only after 2 rounds, he's actually raced with us. Started at Winton, had a bit of a Barry Crocker there, but really has stormed back. That will build his confidence. Cool drone shot over the top of Dick Johnson straight. We pay homage to the great man, and we also pay our respects, our love, and as always, our feelings towards the Jeff Leeds family after this week. Let's go down to Matty Cav, who was repositioned down in pit lane.
What an interesting race that was, Wade. Of course, the rain did come down very early, and someone took the gamble to go into wet tyres, and some stayed on their dry slicks, and, well, it all unfolded. And here we go. We've got the general manager from Hi-Tec Steel Framing joining us here to present the trophies. But our 3rd place getter, Dylan Thomas, a tough race, mate.
Congratulations. Thanks. Cheers.
You took the gamble to stay out there on slick tyres, but you get a 3rd position.
Yeah, the boys were saying that it looks like it's just a quick shower and it's going to clear up. I think if it had been the 12-lap race, I think we would have been in a world of trouble. Although in saying that the guys that jumped on wets, I mean, Nashy went early and I'm sure their pit stop was pretty good compared to most. So he was the only one that got us. The rest of the wet tyre guys didn't get us. We were conservative. Joshy was going and I was like, oh, we don't need to put that much risk. You know, we're pretty safe. And I kept saying to the boys, how far back? And we just brought it home for a pretty safe 3rd, so not too unhappy.
You don't like to talk about championships this early, but a good swag of points and you stay in front.
Yeah, that's right. We can put the orange numbers on the car for the next round. We should have actually ran them this round, but yeah, like I mean, I've said it all along. You know, if we can run top 4 every race of the year, we'll be in championship contention come the end of the year. Joshy's doing a good job. He more than knocked off a 3rd of what his deficit was. So with 4 rounds or 3 rounds to go, but that'll put him ahead if he keeps getting that many points on us. So Joshy's probably still got the speed for the championship. So I think he's the championship guy we need to talk about.
Oh, he's playing it down here, Dylan Thomas, and the CSE Mustang. Congratulations, 3rd place. We'll head over to our 2nd place over here in the Beaches Sea-Doo Mustang, the number 37, Josh Haynes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, what an unreal race. I've genuinely never had so much fun. We went out and we were like, oh, you know, it looks like it's going to rain. And of course, the moment we drove out, started spitting, and I got on the radio, saw Nash drive in. We didn't know what we wanted to do, and we decided to stay out. Who knows what was the right call? I don't know. Maybe if we got a safety car, we could have had him at the end there. But all in all, it was a great race. I'd just like to thank Beaches Sea-Doo, Chapman Floor Coverings, Herzog Steel, SOS Recruitment, Elvin Group, and everyone else for a great weekend. I'd also just like to shout out to Brad Gartner. We all work our bum off to race here, and I hate seeing that, so I hope he's all right.
Well, let's get Lee over here from Hi-Tec Steel Frame to give you your trophy. Congratulations. We know you love the wet weather out there as well. So what was it like, though? What were the conditions like? How hard was it to keep the car on the track?
Well, it was really nerve-wracking, and the funny thing is we actually have set up our windscreen wiper so it's the most aerodynamical, in the position it is. So I actually didn't have windscreen wipers at the start, so it was really guessing where you got to brake. And then, obviously just keeping it on the black stuff during the race and, finish at the end and get some points.
Well, a big smile. Good luck getting back to Canberra.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to the cold.
Yeah, he's going to go right back to the cold there in the ACT. But here we go. Our round winner here for the third round of the TA2 muscle car frame by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. Come in, the general manager of Hi-Tec Steel Framing, Lee Jones, will hand over the trophy. It's going to be Nash Morris. Congratulations.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
You came in, it was very quick for you to come into pits and get on those wet tyres. Do you think that really clinched the win?
To be honest, we didn't actually do it as a pace thing. We didn't want to wreck our car because we're racing it next weekend in Winton. But obviously it paid off. I was struggling a bit there at the end. I just didn't want to blow a tyre. So it was good. I just want to say thanks to my crew and the sponsors for getting me here.
And what's it like to come to Queensland Raceway and be part of the TA2 Muscle Car Series? You had a good time?
Oh, I love it. I love driving these cars. I love hanging out with these people, and great cars to drive, and obviously pretty close to Normal Motorplex where I'm based. So yeah.
We'll get the win in his hometown here, Nash Morris. Big smile on his face. Once again, congratulations. The TA2 muscle car framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. He gets the win, Wade. He's such a great young fella and so humble.
I thought he was going to start doing curls with the trophy just then. You were getting used to that smile, that's for sure. So that wasn't actually a performance concept for you going for the wets. It was actually more of a survival. So our calendar so far, we head to Morgan Park Raceway on July 8 and 9, then to Sydney Motorsport Park, October 13 and 14, and Calder Park Raceway, November 24, 26, for the finale for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. It's had it all here at Queensland Raceway for the third round of the championship. We've had an absolute blast being here, no doubt about that. So very soon, wrapping things up. All smiles for the Morris team, that's for sure. Our TA2 Muscle Car Series framed by Hi-Tec, points continuing to seesaw. Dylan Thomas very wary of Josh Haynes. There's no doubt about that. He knows he's coming. He knows too that Jackson Rice is lurking with intent. So we have a lot more still to go with our TA2 Muscle Car Series and, of course, the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Looking forward to catching you at Morgan Park in early July. Going to be an absolute blinder. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage today. We've enjoyed bringing it to you. Queensland Raceway never disappoints. Until next time, we'll catch you for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series next time at Morgan Park.